Welcome to the ACES Let's Talk series, your space for meaningful conversations and fresh perspectives across our community of counselor educators and supervisors. Each episode highlights exciting updates and innovative work from our standing committees as they help shape the future of counselor education and supervision. Thanks for joining us as we share ideas, spark dialogue, and elevate our profession together. So without further ado, please allow me to welcome the moderator for this podcast.
Welcome to today's webinar in the ACES Let's Talk series. My name is Spencer Niles. I'm the current ACES president, and I'm joined today with Vrishank Saini, who is the CEO of SimCare Incorporated. And ACES recently partnered with SimCare to provide information for our members about a new product that they've developed that I think addresses the challenges that many of us experience in counselor education programs. And so it relates to clinical experiences, that kind of thing. We're going to hear more about it. Vrishank's going to give us some demo, and we're going to really dive into it in the hour that we have together. So Vrishank, for those who are new to FieldX, can you start by giving us a quick overview of what it is, how it started, and who it's built for?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me on. And it's great to have everyone here today. Appreciate the introduction. I'm Vrishank. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO here at SimCare. So SimCare does two big buckets of things. And what we're going to be focused today on is FieldX by SimCare, which started out about summertime of last year. So FieldX is a platform where you can come on and manage clinical hours for your students as they go into their field experiences, handle signatures of those hours, run assessment reports, run things for accreditation, and really manage everything end to end as it pertains to getting your students to the finish line with their field experiences and giving you, as sort of administrators, visibility into the data and assessment features that you'll need as you think about things like accreditation and assessment. So we started out FieldX in a design partnership with Marshall University last summer. We worked specifically with Dr. Eric Beeson, who chairs the program, to build out a tool that would allow them to manage a lot of these experiences. They were using another vendor before. We're having a few difficulties with that vendor and really wanted to have a system where they could centralize the entire process of management of these experiences. So we got together into this partnership and we built out this tool that we then piloted to all of their students. And students were able to come on, log hours, have supervisors on their platform as well, handle all things related to evaluations and anything else they really needed there. And then allowed Marshall University to get the assessment data they needed on their clinical experiences that their students were having. And so once we piloted that over the summer and in the fall of last year, we then heard from more and more programs that they were either using spreadsheets or in-house systems that weren't working too well, or other vendors they weren't having a great experience with. And so we ended up actually making the platform entirely free to allow programs to come on and really get access to these tools that are, really critical. This is likely the most critical part of a student's experience as they go through one of your counseling programs. And so we've just expanded to more programs from there. So started off in a partnership with Marshall University, and now I've been able to bring this to more and more programs over the last year.
Great, thank you. And in your work with programs, what have been some of the biggest pain points that you've heard from them? And maybe I think you just touched upon them, but a little bit more in terms of the biggest pain points you hear from programs relative to field experience, supervision, compliance tracking, those kinds of issues that all programs have to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. I would sort of categorize these issues into a couple of things. So students, of course, have their own experience with the platform, and then your instructors and program coordinators and supervisors have their own unique experiences with such a platform. And so what we've seen quite frequently from the program side is, although it's easy enough to log hours and handle signatures to some extent of these hours, programs find themselves going into these loops of email chains and having data scattered all over because they don't have one centralized system to do a lot of this, which means there's a ton of redundant work that's sort of created because on one end, you're tracking down signatures and ensuring all your documents are in place. Then you have to go and use another system to try to aggregate this data. And then you have to go and run reports on all of it. And so a lot of programs have found that not having a centralized system for this is very difficult, and it leads to hours and hours of work because this data is scattered. So having a centralized system is something they've really, really been pushing for. The other thing, at a program level is cost. So, they find themselves potentially looking at other systems they could use, but just don't have the funding at times to be able to support such infrastructure. So although it could be helpful, these are thousands and thousands of dollars programs will incur to try to manage these systems. And then finally, on the student experience, students have frequently found that having not a centralized system leads to a ton of training that has to happen again and again. And so although you're logging hours in some ways, you're frequently missing inputs of data from students and many times because it's just scattered all over. So it really comes down to lack of centralization, which has become a big, frustrating point for programs.
Great. Yeah, thanks. That's, yeah. As you're naming those, I kept thinking, yeah, I've been in programs I've experienced that one and that one. And how, there are a couple of considerations that I'd like us to talk about. And then maybe if you'd be willing to do a little demo for us, we could move into that. So the first question is it really free?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Yeah, and I think our most the question we get most is about what's the catch with
what's the catch? Free? Come on, Vishen, give it up.
Look, I don't have an MBA, but I know this seems like not so great of a business model. Now, I will say, just going back to our origin story, and I'll answer exactly why and how it's free.
Okay. Yeah.
The SimCare started off as a simulation platform where students can come and have these really unique experiences with AI client avatars, very similar to role playing, and really get a higher frequency of reps with experiential training and different sort of counseling encounters. And so that's going great. We're in many programs with that. But as we went to more and more programs, we heard again and again these problems in addition to cost. And so we're able to support this being free because a lot of programs will come to us initially with FieldX. And although our simulations are a totally separate product, there is a cost for those, but it's totally separate. Programs will frequently upsell and want to expand our partnership with them via, opting into using our simulations as well. So enough programs are able to do that where we're able to support the infrastructure for FieldX, keeping it free. It actually does channel as an incredible business growth tool for us. And then the other thing is, our order forms clearly indicate that FieldX will be free now. It'll be free in the future. Any additional things we add to it will always be free, and you'll have lifetime access as students and instructors to the platform. So both in our documentation, but then also in how we make it work from a business model allows us to keep this being free. And amazing partnerships with folks like ACES helps in sort of expanding that as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And how about, obviously, as you know, when programmers want to transition to a new system like FieldX, often that can be a pretty burdensome task, a burdensome process of moving from one to the other and that kind of thing. Talk to us about that a little bit. How's that work with FieldX, and what kind of support do you provide, and how burdensome is it really?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. So our implementation process is about a 4-week period where we'll send you a questionnaire to fill out, which will ask you for some things like, what are your program's established sites? Tell us about your affiliation agreements or any other documents, stuff like this. And then we have a account manager we assign to you that will be responsible for transitioning all that data into our system. So we try to take as much as we can in terms of the load for the initial setup for you. And then we have the preceding weeks are about training your faculty, your admins, and your students. And so SimCare or FieldX by SimCare will assign 2 account managers to you. So the first is a general customer support manager, And then the other is a technical account manager that's responsible for supporting in this data transition. And so as long as you can fill out that questionnaire and run some exports on your end, we can really help in getting that set up for you. So we do our best to take on that load. Of course, there is work and investment from programs and faculty to being able to get this set up. But we have some really awesome account managers in place to help you do that. And then some other things about support. We host office hours for all of our programs every day of the week from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. And this is where supervisors, instructors, students, anyone can come and ask any questions. And then we can go and answer those during these office hours. So no scheduling needed for that. And then finally, you have 2 phone numbers you can call with these account managers every day except Sunday from 8 a.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So really almost whenever during working hours to get that additional support, which is something that a lot of other vendors don't offer today. So we actually assign account managers for you to help you with that entire process. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah. Well, how about a little demo? Can you let us see a little bit of what FieldX is about?
Yeah, definitely. I'll pull up my screen here and go through a few pages. Now, there's 4 different account types with FieldX. So instructors will have their own accounts, students will have their own accounts, site supervisors will have their own accounts, and then your program coordinators or admins will have their own accounts. So I'll show the admin view today. This is the most complex view. And then if it makes sense, I can also pull up some other views as well. But pulling up my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yep. Got it.
So this is a simulation piece of SimCare that I'll skip over. And I'll head into FieldX by SimCare. So I'm going to click Field Experience here.
Okay.
And so I'll start out with this overview page and then work my way to the right. Now on the overview page, we've really built this so we can present whatever action items you have to you directly right away. So here you'll see a list of your students on the left. You'll see their status. So are they off pace or on track? I'll show you how we go about calculating that here in a second. But we're letting you know about any risk alerts with students. You'll see their track. You'll see their total hours. And most importantly, you'll see if you have any tasks associated with these students. So here are your action items. Here's what you have to complete. And we set it up such that you click just a few buttons to get these things done. So for Zach here, looks like Zach is pending approval. I see that I have 1 task. I click that 1 task and I'm taken to this page here where I see there's an application form submitted by Zach and I can go view and complete this right away. And then I come back to the overview page here and I scroll down. I'll also see hours by cohort. So cohorts are just different groups of students you can create within FieldX. Think about it like classes. And so I'll see a list of my cohorts here. I'll click into one of these and then I'll see for my counseling prac 2 cohort, my students are listed here. If I hover over Brianna, for example, I see Brianna's approved, unapproved, indirect, direct, and any remaining hours. So this has been a really helpful graph for programs to visualize within a cohort, how are students performing, is anyone off pace, and stuff like this. And then finally, on the overview page, you can also directly look at students' activity and profile. So here with Tom, I'm going to click this eye icon here. I click it. I see an overview of the student here. So it's actually generating some really neat AI insights. And it's telling me about Tom a little bit here based on the data it has in the platform. It tells me about Tom's approved hours, unapproved hours, direct, indirect, and so on. I also see where Tom is placed. I can see Tom's timesheet here. So it looks like Tom has been in a staff meeting, done some family counseling hours, and so on. I see any documents associated with the student. And so I can always pull these as I'd like. And then finally, you can also ask any questions you want on Tom here, and we can give you some pretty neat insights. So here, I'll ask, tell me about any risk alerts with this student. And I enter this. Now it's going through all the data it has, all the centralized info it has on Tom based on Tom's activity. And it tells me here that there's an approval bottleneck. So 100% of Tom's hours remain unapproved. And that's obviously concerning. And that's why Tom has been marked as off pace. And so it gives me those direct insights. So that's the overview page. A little bit on cohorts. So I come here and click cohorts, and this is where I can create those different groups of students and instructors. So here in my counseling prac 2, I click open cohort. I then see two primary tabs. So I see my tasks, and then I see assignments. In my tasks, again, what we're trying to do here is tell you, what do you need to get done? So for my tasks, looks like I'm doing a great job. I'm all caught up. There's no action items. If I click in progress, I can then see which of my documents are still in progress that have not been completed yet. So if we look at this week 5 and 6 hours log here, I can see that it's from this student, Jamie Miller, but it seems really outdated. We're now in 2026, so this should have been completed by now. And so what I can do to get visibility into this is I click view here. And this is where I'll see that, hey, look, the admin signed it, the supervisor signed it, and we're just waiting on the student to sign it, which is why it hasn't been completed. So instead of going back and forth in dozens of emails, you'll get that visibility here, and then you can take actions from this visibility as well. So if I scroll down, I see that I can also leave comments. I can say, hey, student, get on this ASAP. I click comments, and now the student gets both an email and a notification in FieldX to go and check this out again. And then finally, with completed, I can see all of my completed documents historically within this cohort that are stored here. So no need for separate Google Drives or searching through your LMS or emails to do this. We'll store those all here. And so for this weekly hours log, I click view, I click load preview, and then I'll see those signatures up top here. And then finally, FieldX by SimCare also generates this PDF. The text is a bit small, but here you can see a breakdown of those direct hours, those indirect hours, supervision, and so on. And one thing to note here is this is fully customizable. So going back to that support question, part of our questionnaire we send you is asking about different changes or nuances you want incorporated into the platform. And we go and set up a custom environment for you within the same week of you filling out that questionnaire. So anything you see here, we can actually tweak so it fits perfectly and seamlessly with your program. And then you'll also have an AI summary up top about your cohort. So it gives me some cool insights here as well. The AI features you see in FieldX are all going to be to just provide you with whatever insights we think are most crucial for you to have info on. And so that this does that here. And then I'll have assignments associated with each one of these cohorts as well. So you can go about setting up a hours report or an hours log. You can set up evaluations, so supervisory evaluation, whatever you want to do. And you can store those here. And I spoke for a while there, Skip. I don't know if you have any questions there before I move on.
No, that's great, Prashank. You know, it's
Wonderful.
and then in running reports, so for student assessments, you know, evaluations across the program, you may have heard of this entity called KCREP. And
Not
running
familiar. Tell me more.
in running reports, how is that? Give me a sense, a little bit more. You mean you already have a bit, but maybe a little bit more that
Yeah, for sure.
okay.
So I'm going to head over to this run report feature here.
Okay, there you go.
I go to it. This is where FieldX really is able to provide a ton of value, a lot of which I think a lot of other vendors perhaps don't provide, or you're stuck doing hours of work to try to get this type of data. So here we have a template set of reports you can run for different types of things. So for example, site credentialing, KCREP wants to ensure you're collecting credential info on your supervisors. You can run reports on that. Activity logs, hour summary snapshots, student competency profiles. So if I click run report here, I can see all the different forms that students have filled out before. And then I can run this for my entire cohort or for an individual student and get aggregate data. And then I'll just show you an example here.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to run a weekly activity ledger.
Okay.
Click run report.
Yeah.
I could do it for an entire cohort. I'll just pick an individual student here. Let's do Jamie. And let's say I want to see the last 2 weeks for this report. I can then generate a CSV or a PDF. I'll generate PDF here. And now it's instantly generated this PDF. Jamie's not doing too great of a job with 0 hours here, but here I get the relational hours since Jamie here is an MFT program, but I also get those direct hours, indirect hours, and everything else I'll need. And then finally, with running reports and doing assessments, we have this really neat Ask AI feature.
Yeah, I was
And
just going to ask about that.
yeah, this has been a
Yeah.
huge value add for a lot of programs. This is where you can, so we have our template reports, of course, but this is where you can go and ask any questions you want or generate any type of custom report you'll need. And it'll generate these based on the data it has in the platform. So this is really where centralizing your data inputs becomes really important. So here, let's have this, let's say, please create you mentioned K-CREP, so let's do K-CREP aligned evaluation form. I
Okay.
put this in, and it might ask me some quick clarifying questions. So it tells me here, you want this to be a multi-source evaluation or just for a supervisor? Let's make this complex. Let's do multi-source. I put that in, and then it asked me, here, let's do multi-source. Multi-source. And now it's going to start analyzing, and it tells me, ask me one more question. Do I want this for specific cohorts or the full spring term? So I'll do spring 2026 term. I put that in, and now it's going to start to look at all the data it has. It's looking at all my students. It's gathering site placement data. It's parsing all the evaluations, and now it's actually mapping to the K-CREP 2024 competency domains. And it's going to here generate a really neat report. And so here it's actually just generated a PDF. I can download this. I'll just open it in a new tab here.
Yeah.
And so here I see that, of course, SimCare University is a fake university for the template data, but here it tells me about stuff that could be really helpful for my self-study, for example. So it gives me rating scale here. It tells me about aggregate program data, and it maps it to the K-CREP standard. So exactly what I needed. It's actually pulled data and generated a PDF for it. And then just another use case for this, programs can also come here and ask anything like, hey, generate a risk profile on students that maybe are falling behind. So I need to know about just the students that are falling behind. I enter this here. And again, it's going to parse through all the centralized data it has on my program, and it's querying this now, and it will now generate a CSV here that I can export. So I can click export CSV on this. So it's a custom report. And it also gives me an AI summary here as well. So it tells me about review blocking, tells me about clearance bottlenecks, 31 students stuck in the pre-application or clearance phase, flag specific students. So really any questions I have, which of my affiliation agreements are expiring, generate XYZ report for me, whatever it may be, our Ask AI feature can really be helpful for these things. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. And then,
outstanding.
Yeah, it's been really, really great to see programs utilize this. And just a few other quick things here.
Please.
A lot of your, a lot of you all as programs will have established program sites or approved sites. And so these are sites you likely have agreements with or have students placed there before. And so you'd be able to store your established program sites here. And so if I view one of these sites, I can see details on the site. I can look at all the past supervisors at this site. I can look at any documents associated with these supervisors. I can view their profile. I can flag them for review if I need to. I can invite new supervisors. But most importantly, you can also see documents stored in your sites. So for example, this affiliation agreement, I can access it specifically for this site. But more importantly, I can see when this affiliation agreement expires, and our AI can even analyze compliance. So we want to make sure your programs are compliant at all times. Having an expired affiliation agreement not updated, huge liability there. So we're storing this and also giving you insights on this as well. And then finally, with sites, if you were to search for sites, your students will have access to a really cool map feature. And so I'm in San Francisco right now, and I can look at all these really cool sites near me. If I open up one of these sites, I see a summary of the site here. I see if they're currently hiring. I can see their phone number. I can visit their website. So we have thousands of sites in our platform
Wow.
that students can use to discover new opportunities, both during their program, but also post-grad. And then they can, of course, also click this establish button here and filter for your program's established sites. So this map has served as a really, really helpful too, especially for a lot of our online programs and helping students find new opportunities and discover sites. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Related to the sites, I
Mhm.
imagine that's a bit of a fluid situation, right? And so how do you keep that current and uh, how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So first off, I should say when you put in your program site info, that stays just with your program. We don't put that into our general pool. What we
Okay.
do is we have it's a mix of partnerships with a few larger organizations that have agencies associated with them, and they'll come and put their site data in here, and they'll also even run hiring at many times through our platform. We also run audits every 2 weeks where we're checking on new job postings posted online, rechecking site data info we put in, ensuring statements like currently hiring are still updated. So every 2 weeks we run these audits.
Okay.
And so that's how we keep everything updated.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thanks. All right. Now I
Awesome.
got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I find that to be very impressive, what you've shared with us so far. How about running live supervision sessions? And then related to that, HIPAA compliance. How do you kind of address those if you can do the live supervision sessions?
Yeah, for sure. So we have this button here called Meet. And so if I click into it, this is a HIPAA compliant live supervision platform where you can create meetings. You can
Hmm.
have live sessions with clients. You can have role plays on here. You can have meetings with your supervisors. And then these all store to the cloud. And so here I can open up one of these sessions. These are all my previous sessions here. I click this button. I click view details. And so here is a video of me, and here's a recorded session. I can then also leave comments here. I can upload associated documents, and these are timestamped comments. I can also click share and share this with my supervisor or my instructor. I can even click generate feedback. And what this does is it's an AI scribe that will generate a transcript on the session too. And so we support all of that. And there's no usage limits with any of this as well. So you can have hundreds of sessions on here. Again, we're never going to charge for any of this. And you can upload, any other sessions. So I know a lot of programs will use Zoom or WebEx to
Mhm.
run their sessions today. You can, of course, upload those as you'd like here as well. And again, it's all HIPAA compliance. Yeah.
Great. Wow.
Awesome.
Um, so how would the students so different points of entry here, different so you have students, supervisors, faculty.
Mhm.
Um, how does this vary in terms, like say I'm a student?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So before I jump into the students, I'll quickly
Yeah.
show you how you create clearance tasks for your
Okay.
students from an
Yeah, great.
admin view.
Great.
And then I'll
Good.
jump into the students. So
Okay.
here I'm going to click My Program on the top right. And this is where many programs will have a set of tasks students have to complete before they can start logging hours. So examples of this will be choosing your track, maybe reviewing a code of ethics, uploading liability insurance, selecting a site, adding a supervisor. So you as an admin will be able to configure these steps. We'll get this initially set up for you based on that questionnaire we sent to you. And then when students come on, they'll be asked to complete this prior to being able to actually use the platform to its full capability.
Okay.
Supervisors will have similar clearance tasks. So supervisors will be asked to upload their CV, years of experience, credentials, all that stuff. And what I'll quickly do is pop out of this admin view and switch over to a student view to show you what it looks like once they've actually completed these tasks. So just going to load this in here. And so now I'm logged in as a student. I click Field Experience, and I see 4 primary tabs as a student. So I see my timesheet, I see cohorts, my sites, and run reports. So once I complete those clearance tasks, I can come here and actually start to log hours in my timesheet. This will give me an
Mm.
overview of my direct hours, my indirect supervision. But what I can also do is I can click add hours log. And when I do that, I can pick the type of hours. So again, we'll see that breakdown of the direct and indirect. So let's say I conducted a group counseling session and I did it today. And let's say I did it at 11 a.m. for 1 hour. I then pick my site. You can have several sites as a student. And I'll pick this site here. You can also have several supervisors. I'll just pick my supervisor here. And then I click submit. And let's log that anyway.
Okay.
And so here, it's logged this activity for this site with this supervisor on this date, this duration. And so this is how students can go about logging hours. Many of you are likely using like an Excel sheet or Google Sheets for this today. So this should hopefully centralize that a little bit. And then students will also be enrolled in cohorts. And so here's that Prac 2 cohort again. When I open the cohort, I'll see any pending tasks. So I can go and complete a form, get started. I can view the status of other forms. I can look at any in-progress documents. I can download them. And then I'll see any completed documents as well. And then students will be able to look at their site information. They'll be able to request a new site if it's not an approved site today. And then finally, students can also run reports themselves. So it's a bit more limited in what students can run because we're not doing it for the entire cohort. But here, students will have the option to get assessment data for them as well. And then last thing to note here is we offer lifetime access for students at no cost, which means that once students graduate from a program, they will still retain access to this platform, which means they can use it for post-grad licensure prep. They can continue to log hours. They can continue to run different types of reports, especially depending on the state they're on. There'll be different reports they'll want to run. So we support that infrastructure for them to continue to use the platform well after they've graduated. So yeah. Awesome. Any other questions with the student side?
I think that, well, I guess it's not just the student side, but how do you manage data security? How does?
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up our trust portal here. This goes over a lot of our data security, and we'll typically send this out to programs. You can also see it on our landing page. But here, we're FERPA compliant, we're HIPAA compliant, and we're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. So we have all the compliance measures in place from a data security standpoint, which we're happy to share with programs. US programs can also come here and click this request button on the top right, and then you'll get a ton of info on all of our reports, our accessibility reports, and all that stuff. So we have all the compliance measures in place here.
Great.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just a little bit back to the onboarding process. So we're using some other resource. We want to transition to FieldX. Kind of, can you walk us through a little bit about step by step, even what that looks like and how you engage, how we engage with you, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So what we'll do is we'll send over a questionnaire and an order form to kick off the process for onboarding. Now, the order form is the only agreement we ask to be signed, and it just goes over, hey, we'll be free now, we'll be free in the future, we're HIPAA compliant, all that stuff, just ensuring we have all the right language in place. And then the associated questionnaire will ask you things like, tell us about your current agreements, tell us about your workflow. So do you have students sign every timesheet at all points? Do you have site supervisor sign it, stuff like this? And then also about questions for your established program sites. And so typically with if you're using another vendor, you should be able to export this data. It doesn't need to be structured in any specific way. Your technical account manager will be able to take whatever you put in and then set up your environment. So week 1 is when you do that questionnaire. Week 2 is when we set up your custom environment and do an admin training. So training the program coordinator, the field experience coordinator on how to actually use the platform. Week 3 and 4 is spent on faculty training and then student training. And so these are live synchronous sessions we'll host where we're specifically going into the custom workflows and environment we set up for your program. So students are seeing exactly in the training session what they'll see when they actually come onto the platform. So it doesn't necessarily need to be all within 4 weeks. It can be scattered as you'd like. But the actual process to get set up is pretty clean and straightforward. When programs think about integrating us for fall 26, which is what most programs are thinking about, we typically spend between now and the summer doing all those exports of the data and getting it into our system, and then we spend the summer doing some level of training as needed. So as long as you can run exports, which you should be able to do with the current vendor you're on, we should be able to get that environment set up for you within about 4 weeks and conduct all the necessary training. And then the other thing we do during our implementation process is we go over our docs page. And so our docs page has a ton of training resources. So here, if I click FieldX, every single button or component within FieldX has an associated video for actually training on the platform. So you get some really cool insights on this. If you're ever confused, you can watch this video. You can even use our AI chat feature on our docs page to ask any questions about the platform. So this is fully contextually aware of what the platform looks like, the different components. And here I can come in and say, I need help. And this will actually go back and forth instantly and tell me more about, where can I help and all these things. And it also gives me some other support resources as well. So we spend a lot of time just ensuring that programs have all the resources they need in place and that we really nail training down. And so that's typically what implementation looks like.
And I know you mentioned the help desk availability. Is that for students and supervisors as well as faculty?
Exactly. Yeah. So any account managers you get will also apply to supervisors and students.
Okay.
And one more thing I want to add there is
Yeah.
with both of your account managers, you'll have a direct phone number you can call. And I really want to double down on this because we've heard again and again from programs the frustrations of getting lost in a ticketing system. If you want to see a quick change in the platform, if you have any questions, many programs wait weeks to hear back and are just thrown into a general ticketing system. So you'll always have a direct phone number you can call and get answers right away. And everyone has access to that. Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Awesome.
What have I not asked, Rishankar? What have I not asked that I should ask about this?
I think it's so in terms of just future growth with FieldX, of course, we've partnered now with ACES to ensure we can inform a really awesome product roadmap and really hear the needs of the field and build out features according to that. A really cool tool that students will have access to is this interviews page here. So we're starting to partner with a lot of the agencies that come onto our platform to actually conduct interviews and put job postings in FieldX. And this will allow for the discovery of new opportunities in a really seamless way. So as you look to add a site to your account as a student, you can, of course, look at your program's approved sites, but you'll have tools like the map, which we're continuing to expand. We can discover new opportunities. And then also stuff like the interviews tool where you can look at new job postings. So a big focus of FieldX over the next 6 months or so is it's going to be on ensuring that students don't just come here to log hours and have those signed off on, but can actually use this as a really helpful tool to look at a centralized database of all these sites across the country and plan, years into the future for how they actually want to think about, the training pathways and have FieldX as a primary touch point for that. So we're really building for the student experience now. I think we've got the admin and the instructor experience down, and now we're looking to really figure out how to add more and more value for students, because ultimately this platform is sort of as good as students are able to actually engage with it. So that's sort of just a bit of insight onto the future of FieldX.
Yeah. Well, so you already started to speak to a question I just thought of. That is the process of continuous improvement. How do you, obviously get feedback from students, from supervisors, from programs, and then what's your approach to that as a company?
Yeah, so when we collect feedback, we have two primary mechanisms for this. So The first is what we're kicking off with ACES, where they'll be able to append to a product roadmap page stuff they're hearing from different counselors in the field and administrators, and they'll add that to our list, and then we'll go and actually build out and complete those features. And so that's going to be our primary way to understand what is actually needed. In addition to that, your technical account manager, the reason we assign 2 account managers is one is for general customer support, so you get responses right away. But the technical account manager is responsible for hearing any custom features or any additional things you want to see in the platform. And then we add that to our roadmap to build out for you. So we're directly hearing from our customers on what exactly you want to see built in the future on the platform. It's not just, hey, here's what it is, use it if you want, or if we don't have it, that sucks. We actually directly have this technical account manager to hear from you and build those accordingly. And so we offer pretty much unlimited customization for that reason, is because that account manager can support that.
Yeah, yeah. And we haven't touched on ADA compliance.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yes.
Talk to us about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would turn back to our trust center here, where we have a ton of that info on compliance as it relates to accessibility and other things here. And we also have accessibility statements and stuff like this. So programs can come here, whether we've spoken to you or not before. You can just come here, click request, and we'll approve it, where you get all that info on those compliance documents.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Great.
So last thing I'll just mention here,
please.
If you'd like to get started with the platform.
That's the next question.
Beat you to it. The best way to get started is I'll put my contact info in the chat, but I'll also quickly show you. You can come here, come to the SimCare platform, click Field Experience here, or click Book a Demo. And so this Field Experience page will just go over a lot of what I've gone over today, which might be helpful for you to share with your team. And then once you click Book a Demo, this is where you can find time directly with myself or one of my team members, and be able to get a deeper demo and a deeper discussion on FieldX. Because I've covered stuff at a high level here, but we really want to hear from you. What are your specific needs? What has worked well for you as a program? What hasn't worked well? I want to make sure this is a great solution for you. So we just highly encourage, if you're interested, to find time with us to chat, and we can get you on the calendar right away.
Great.
Awesome.
Rishan, thank you so much for your time and your creativity in offering a resource that I think is very helpful to many counseling programs and many of the challenges that we face in our programs relative to everything you talked about, records, reporting, compliance, and all that we mentioned, supervision, all that we mentioned. So thank you so much. This is fantastic. And so people who are interested in taking the next step will reach out to you, and they'll take it from there.
Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me demonstrate today. And I just want to double down on saying, like, field experience management is something that should just work. It's such a critical part of the pathway, of the training pathway for students. It's where you're getting hands-on experience. And it's just been it's pretty disheartening to see programs budgets tied up so significantly in the management of experiences as opposed to training. Really, where I think spend should be with a lot of programs is on incorporating things like training tools that really help enhance the educational experience, not in tools that allow you to track if students have actually had this experience or not. So, hopefully this being free allows your program to free up that budget and really think about spend on these other things, especially with AI coming around. It's just incredible to see the different tools that are coming out for enhancing student education, and hopefully we can help you achieve that, and appreciate letting me demonstrate today. So thanks so much.
Well, as you know, those expenses typically, invariably, get filtered down to the students, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So this takes that off the table, which I think is really important. So
precisely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
You will.